Is it known to you that the renowned actor and dancer Gregory Hines concealed a horrible secret? His dance abilities and generous nature won him many fans, but did you know he kept a secret from the world? Who knew the secret that Gregory Hines carried with him to his grave? He seemed destined to accomplish it. The impact on his professional and personal life was significant. We need to delve into the frightening reality that lies underneath this enigma. New York City is the site of Gregory Hines's birth on February 14, 1946. Near Harlem in Washington Heights, he spent his childhood. Alma and Maurice Hines Sr. had 2 children. He was the second. In addition to being a musician, his father also played semi-professional baseball. In the 1920s, Gregory's grandma, Ora Hines, was a dancer at the world-renowned Cotton Club. The time I started dancing was 3 in the afternoon. I suppose my parents wanted to make sure we were well-rounded, so they enrolled my brother and me in dance classes. Gregory claimed he couldn't remember a moment when he wasn't dancing. He began at an early age, as did his elder brother Maurice. When Maurice and Gregory started tap dancing, they were 5 and 3 years old, respectively. Although their mother was the one who initially encouraged them to dance, Maurice was their first teacher. To her, it represented a possible exit from the ghetto. The Apollo Theater was their weekly destination for shows, which she would take them to. Gregory and Maurice were already dancing at the Apollo Theater by the time he was 5 years old. Sandman Sims and Teddy Hale, 2 of the all-time great tap dancers, were there. According to Gregory, Teddy Hale was the first tap dancer he watched that genuinely inspired him because of the way he created stuff up on the moment. They pursued tap dance for us since it was still an amazing art form back then. As the Hines Kids, Gregory and Maurice showcased their tap dancing skills under the tutelage of world-renowned choreographer Henry Latang. Out of 400 students at their dancing studio, Henry saw that Maurice and Gregory were exceptional. Henry thought they had what it took to become as famous as the legendary tap dancing duet, the Nicholas Brothers. The Girl in Pink Tights was Gregory and Maurice's 1954 Broadway debut, and he was just 8 years old. A newspaper boy was played by Maurice and a shoeshine guy by Gregory. Gregory met Sammy Davis Jr., one of his heroes, when he was 9 years old. His career was greatly impacted by Sammy, who became his mentor. Simultaneously, while playing in a desolate Brooklyn lot, something terrifying occurred. A tree stump struck Gregory's right eye when he fell. He nearly became blind. It had an impact on him in later years, but it didn't prevent him from dancing. An odd relationship developed between Gregory and Sammy Davis Jr. because, interestingly enough, Sammy had lost an eye. Even as a child, he encountered bigotry. That is the location where I learned the most about myself and where I was able to develop into the person I am today. There were times when Gregory's path was difficult. He had to deal with prejudice, problems at home, and the pressures of the entertainment industry. The first time Gregory encountered prejudice was when he was around 11 years old. In Miami, Florida, he was on the road with a band. Originally from a place where things were different, Gregory and his family came from the north. When he was out getting water one day, he saw that there were 2 fountains, one for white people and one for people of color. He was a little northerner who mistook colored for genuine food coloring, like in juice or soda. 20 black cast members intervened before he could even take a sip from the whites-only fountain. They had to brief him about Southern culture and customs. His understanding of racism was profoundly enhanced by that experience. While their father stayed at home and taught himself drums, Gregory and his brother Maurice became famous as the Hines Brothers when they were adolescents. They rebranded themselves as Hines, Hines, and Dad by 1963, when he had already been a member of the group, and they went on a global tour. Notable artists like Gypsy Rose Lee and Lionel Hampton were opened for by them. Other performers were afraid to perform after them due to their high level of excellence. Not only that, but Ella Fitzgerald herself requested that they open for her. Greg wasn't giving it his best, even though he was performing. Since he was still quite young, all he wanted to do was play football, spend time with his fiancée, and hang out with his pals. He remained in show business despite his dreams of becoming a football star, all for the sake of supporting his family. Gregory wed dance therapist Patricia Pinella in 1968, and the couple had a daughter, Daria. Prior to the Jeffersons, Gregory and Maurice were on the verge of getting their own TV program, making them the first black family to have a television series. The decision-makers, however, claimed that viewers would not trust a black family on national television. What would it be like? It was a historical chance lost. Gregory and Maurice broke up after playing together for a decade. They couldn't stop bickering, and Gregory finally snapped. He had grown addicted to cocaine and was suffering from its negative effects, in addition to the long hours, constant traveling, and financial issues. But Maurice was more interested in performing in the theater, so they split up. Because we were so good at working together and because most of our sequences involved Gregory, he and his brother had a falling out. Look, nobody ever scripted any of our scenes in the film. Music was Gregory's life's work. He was deeply passionate about it. But it was not the intended outcome. After he and his brother Maurice had an argument, they ceased communicating for a long time. Whenever they crossed paths, they would casually stroll by one another, remaining silent. That disagreement was major. Meanwhile, his marriage was in shambles. Upon hearing Gladys Knight and the Pipps's "Neither One of Us," he was overcome with emotion and began to cry. He was leaving his wife and children behind since he knew his marriage had ended. The couple's 1973 divorce was finalized. His next stop was in Venice, California. While he was in California, he went through a radical transformation, becoming a long-haired hippie who used cannabis and drank heavily. Additionally, he founded Severance, a jazz rock band. Making a living as a musician wasn't easy for him, even if he could compose, sing, and play guitar. Aside from being a karate instructor, he performed odd jobs and in restaurants. Bill Cosby was somebody who assisted him. To help Gregory get back on his feet, Bill loaned him $5,000. Gregory eventually remarried to Pamela Coslow, but she was no match for his music. He was rejected by Warner Brothers and everyone else who was interested in recording his music. He had no money and was in a tough spot. His wife had to help him out. It was determined that Gregory would return to New York. Getting a better career and moving closer to his daughter from a previous marriage were two of his main goals. Upon his return, he reconciled with his brother Maurice. Gregory played drums and tap danced in a performance called The Last Minstrel Show, which he got a part in thanks to Maurice. After a hiatus of 8 years, Gregory resumed tap dancing, and soon enough the pieces began to fit together again. His major break came in 1979 when he got a role in the Broadway show Huey. Even the Tony Award for Best Featured Actor in a Musical was up for grabs with him. Together with Maurice, they taught children about close and far objects on Sesame Street that year. Things continued to improve. His position was terminated. In 1980, Gregory co-starred with N.E. Carter in 2 plays, Coming Uptown and Ain't Misbehavin'. The television series Give Me a Break made Neil Carter famous. Sophisticated Ladies, a Broadway musical that honored Duke Ellington's music, was another production in which he appeared in 1981. After nearly 2 years on stage, Gregory was let go. They let him leave when he complained to the director about how dull the play was. But his co-workers spoke out for him. They lodged a formal protest, and the director ended up firing him. Following that, the play underwent an exciting revision that centered on the early days of the Duke Ellington Ensemble. Gregory was gaining a growing fan base. He was a tap dance sensation. His brilliance was soon lauded in articles published in magazines and newspapers. All this attention made him consider a career in Hollywood acting. "Oh, please, let's retain the photo IDs, driver's licenses, and our badges," he pleaded. Actor Dustin Hoffman was the one who pushed him to do better. After seeing Gregory perform, Dustin gushed about his acting chops. Because of that, Gregory always thought he was capable of more than simply dancing. His path to Hollywood began with that. He started reading screenplays to get a feel for the industry. The Fish That Saved Pittsburgh, a basketball film, was one of the initial projects he reviewed. A further film, House of God, starring Howard Rollins, was in the works for him. You may recall Howard Rollins from the television series In the Heat of the Night, but here's something you might not have known. That film was never shown to the public. Nonetheless, Gregory persisted. He persisted until he landed his first major job. In the horror film Wolfen, he has the role of a medical examiner. For what reason did he land the role? He had a strong advantage due to his friendship with the director. Gregory settled on acting as a career path after landing the part. Because he wasn't need to move about as much, he found it much more enjoyable than dancing. After succeeding Richard Pryor in a job that seemed tailor-made for him, he was presented with a major chance in 1981. A part in Mel Brooks's comedic History of the World, Part 1 was secured for Gregory. And here's the wildest part. He wasn't even considered initially. Richard Pryor had previously been cast in that position. You all remember that Richard Pryor, one of the best comedians of all time, sustained terrible burns in an accident just days before production began. With a lighter, he doused himself with 151 proof rum and then lit it ablaze. Screaming, he sprinted outdoors to beg the Lord for a second opportunity. Gregory filled in for him since he was unable to complete the film. Some claim he was suicidal, for whatever reason. The Shim Sham from Ethiopia was that. That was the turning point in Gregory's acting career. Deal of the Century, which starred Chevy Chase and Saoirse Weaver, was released in 1983. Zachary was born that year to him and his wife. The next year, in 1984, Gregory shared a major part with his brother Maurice Hines in The Cotton Club, portraying the character of Sandman Williams. They portrayed roles modeled after those of the actual Nicholas brothers. Interestingly, though, they weren't even considered initially. Richard Pryor was occupied with Superman 3rd and The Toy when the company first wanted him to star in the film. Thus, the part of Cab Calloway was given to the Hines brothers. Despite the film's intended subject matter, jazz dancing and the Harlem Renaissance, the director's fixation on white gangsters led to significant controversy around the Cotton Club. Some of the finest sequences with black performers, such as Gregory and Maurice, were deleted. Despite the fact that several of their sequences were cut, their acting and dancing truly made an impression. Their heated dispute was one of the film's most moving scenes. That scene was acted out, not staged. The fight sequence recreated the raw emotions of Gregory and Maurice's real-life breakup, which had already occurred before filming began. Even after the director called cut, they continued to scream, and their parents were visibly distressed as they watched from the set. Truly, it was life-mimicking art. He featured in the smash blockbuster police drama Running Scared, which came out in 1986, alongside Billy Crystal. Outstanding lead actor was the NAACP Image Award that Gregory received. Like Billy Crystal, he was making his big screen debut as a starring actor. Gregory has previously stated in an interview that he enjoyed playing parts created for white actors better due to the greater diversity and complexity of such parts. Tap dancers now refer to this time as the Renaissance. It has occurred, but they still face significant financial hardship. However, tap dancing is currently trending. During the 1970s, Gregory Hines had lofty ambitions. No one gave him a chance when he was a hippie and had a band and composed music. Meeting the renowned R&B musician Luther Vandross in 1985 was a turning point in his path. Luther caught a glimpse of Gregory on a replay of Saturday Night Live when he was busy doing his thing. Luther wanted to create for Gregory after being captivated by his vocals. For Gregory, this meeting was the turning point in his life. He collaborated with Luther Vandross on the duet, There's Nothing Better Than Love, and the song was a smashing success, reaching the top spot on the R&B charts in the United States. Included on Luther's fifth studio album, Give Me the Reason, which included Gregory's vocals among other exceptional pieces like Stop to Love and So Amazing, the song was a major winner. A record deal with Epic Records was also secured with Gregory's assistance from Luther. Gregory put out his sole studio album, just named Gregory, in 1986. I highly recommend it to everyone who hasn't heard it yet. Music was only one aspect of Gregory's career. He plays the role of a military detective in the 1988 film Off Limits, set in Saigon, Vietnam. The director had doubts about Gregory's acting chops before casting him in the role. He had never seen him in an action film. But Gregory won over Weathers and proved him wrong. In 1989, Gregory co-starred with Suzanne Douglas, Sammy Davis Jr., and Savion Glover in the classic movie Tap. With Sanman Sims, Bunny Briggs, and Harold Nicholas among its cast, the film Tap united many genuine artists. I thought that was Sammy Davis Jr.'s final film. The film followed the tap dancing career of Gregory, who served as a mentor to 14-year-old Savion Glover. As far as tap dancing goes, Gregory ranked Savion among the all-time greats, even higher than himself. Notable tap dancers Sanman Sims, Bunny Briggs, and the Nicholas brothers, who performed superb tap routines well into old age, also made an appearance in the film. The 1989 Public Broadcasting Service (PBS) program, Gregory Hines' Tap Dance in America, was likewise produced and hosted by Gregory. In order to promote dance, he assembled both seasoned performers and up-and-coming artists. Gregory pushed for the preservation of tap dance because he liked it. In fact, he was instrumental in the creation of National Tap Dance Day, which is observed annually on May 25th, the same day that the legendary tap dancer Bill Bojangles Robinson was born. Also doing his part to preserve the art form, Gregory was active in a number of tap dance groups. Both the American Tap Dance Foundation and the Manhattan Tap Dance Jazz Ensemble have him on their boards of directors. Sammy Davis Jr. was someone whom Gregory really respected. After Sammy's death in 1990, Gregory was visibly moved during the burial. Gregory paid tribute to his teacher by kissing his tap shoes. There was little doubt that Sammy was pivotal in Gregory's professional and personal development. Gregory continued to have a successful career. A Rage in Harlem, directed by Bill Duke, and Eve of Destruction, both released in 1991, featured him as Goldie. Despite comparisons to Harlem Nights, Gregory's admirers adored A Rage in Harlem. Gregory Hines' portrayal as Jelly Roll Morton garnered him the Tony Award for Best Actor in a Musical in 1992. On top of that, he was named Outstanding Actor in a Musical by the Drama Desk. Gregory, though, was ready for a change by 1994. He became a director because he yearned for a career in production. A film depicting an interracial romance, White Man's Burden was his directorial debut. That is the fundamental point. In the same year, he played the role of Sergeant First Class Cast in Renaissance Man. Gregory went on to star in Waiting to Exhale in 1995, as Gloria's next-door neighbor Marvin King, played by Loretta Devine. The role was significant. In an interview, Loretta Devine related a fascinating anecdote about him, how Gregory made her feel extra special on her first day of filming by giving her roses. Also, she mentioned that after the movie, Gregory made a lighthearted joke about how she should cut back on her weight. Angela Bassett has said that Gregory and Whitney Houston will not be able to film the sequel to Waiting to Exhale because of Whitney Houston's untimely death. The loss of Gregory just deepened the melancholy. Gregory co-starred opposite Denzel Washington and Whitney Houston in the 1996 film The Preacher's Wife. Interesting fact, Denzel Washington considered Julia Roberts for the part, but ultimately selected Whitney Houston. Joe Hamilton was portrayed by Gregory in this film. Gregory Hines' influence on cinema and theater is undeniable. One of the all-time great tap dancers, Gregory Hines had a phenomenal career that extended into many corners of the entertainment industry. He co-starred with comedian Ian Sinbad in the 1996 film The Cherokee Kid. The Gregory Hines Show, Gregory's own comedy, premiered in 1997. He portrayed Ben Stevenson, a single parent attempting to bring up his kid, who was 12 years old at the time. You may find the 16 episodes from the program's brief run on YouTube if you're interested in watching them again. The show unfortunately ended after only one season. Gregory had a starring role in the 1998 film The Tick Code. His personal life took a turn for the worse that year, and he filed for a divorce from Pamela Coslow. Gregory played Ben Duet, Will and Grace's employer, in the TV series the next year, in 1999. Despite the show's Emmy win for Best Comedy Series, Gregory abruptly quit to helm Showtime's Red Sneakers. While it may come as a surprise to some, Gregory also provided the voice for Big Bill in Bill Cosby's beloved children's program, Little Bill. For his work on that program in 2003, Gregory was nominated for a Daytime Emmy. In the 2002 television film Bojangles, Gregory portrayed his idol from infancy, the renowned tap dancer Bill Bojangles Robinson. Gregory took home the trophy for Best Actor in a television movie, miniseries, or dramatic special from the NAACP Image Awards for his superb performance. In the same year, he joined Bernard Peters as co-host of the 56th Annual Tony Awards. Gregory Hines died of liver cancer on August 9, 2003. He passed while en route to the hospital. Nobody outside of his immediate circle of friends and family was aware of his sickness. Although doctors had given Gregory just 2 months to live, he battled valiantly and managed to add 13 more months to his life expectancy before succumbing to his illness. He was still instructing tap dance courses when he passed away, and he was engaged to bodybuilder Negar Jade. The Black Heritage Series of the United States Postal Service included a 2019 stamp honoring Gregory Hines. The world saw how big of an impact Gregory had because of this monumental accomplishment. Another brother named Maurice Hines is also an actor and producer. He and his siblings are the subjects of a documentary titled Maurice Hines, Bring Them Back. Gregory has 2 kids who are also involved in show business, a son and a daughter. His mentee, Savon Glover, is now a global superstar in the tap dance industry. Savon is doing a great job of preserving tap dance for future generations, and Gregory would be proud. The death of Gregory Hines occurred when he was just 57 years old. People from all walks of life are still moved by his legendary tap dancing. We shall always remember you, Gregory. May you rest in peace.